Hi, this is Dave from GetYourRockOut, and we're at the HRH Prog Festival, and I'm delighted, absolutely delighted to welcome Steeleye Span.
Hello.
Hello. Hey.
How you doing, all right?
Yes, I'm splendid, thank you. How are you after such a great show?
It was fantastic.
We were really
It was
pleased.
really nice to play really loud.
Because we do quite a lot of theatre gigs now, you know, which is great. But it was good to do a big room.
They tend to
with a
be
big
more
PA.
whereas this was just full on, which
Because
was great.
you know, obviously when in theatre you don't want to get the G-force, but here there was a little bit of that, which was great. You know, to actually get into that, which was great. And so I think we all enjoyed ourselves and sort of revelled in it really.
Yeah, we set up as a band back in the 70s to be loud. That was the point of the exercise.
Well, at that time, of course, you had the real hard rock bands as well. They were playing extremely loud, weren't they? So you had some competition there.
We had dual Showman amps and 400 watts of MPA, and they used to say, "I can't hear the words." I'm surprised they knew there was a singer.
It's true, isn't it? But I mean, now the equipment's so good that you get this sort of clarity that you have in a theatre. But it's nice to have. But I mean, in this one, those that do see it, I don't know whether it will come over on various film things, but the sub bass was ridiculous. I could hear it up the hill.
Yeah.
You know, it was it was fantastic. It was great, you know.
And we heard the cries of "Turn the Fiddle Up" as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
And hopefully they did. Did they?
Yeah, it certainly came. It was certainly coming through loud and clear.
Little classical instrument or folk instrument amongst all the electrics, trying to.
Acoustic's always a difficult one because you've got a mic on it, haven't you? Rather than
Lovely mic.
So,
anyone that knows Steeleye will know that Jessie May Smart's the newest.
She's our
recruit.
newest. She's our
She's
youngest. She's brought the
fantastic.
average age down considerably.
We think to about 63, but
Yeah.
but it's brilliant to have her. It's
Actually, we should
absolutely-
actually work that out.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, we'll get a mathematician involved. But no, it's brilliant to have her. You know, and it's just she really puts a new energy into the band, which is fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. And in terms of the prog sort of side of things, I mean, were you surprised to be invited into something like this? Bearing in mind the label is folk rock that you allegedly play.
Well, we never thought of the label. You know, that wasn't our choice.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've always been a rock band that happened to do traditional music a large part of the time, and it was fantastic actually to be asked, and I think it's because of Wintersmith largely.
It's the Terry Pratchett collaboration, which allowed us to go into. I mean, as we've said to other people, you know, Steeleye, way before my time, has always been into these kind of very, very narrative things. You know, very dynamic, lots of different bits to it. You know, of these ballads and stuff, telling these gruesome stories of magic, brutality, and chivalry, and all that. And so it was absolutely right that Terry, who was into the band a long time ago, should and was a fan, and it was always talk that we should do collaboration with him. It took a long time to happen, but it did, and it was ideal that we took this book called The Wintersmith.
Well, there are lots of references to our music in there anyway, because I recognise them.
Yeah.
And
Extension, really, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's an extension of everything that came before, rather than something
for many, you know.
See, Terry on Desert Island Discs.
Desert Island, he chose
his one
Thomas
record was Thomas the Rhymer, wasn't it? Which is, you know, that says it.
You know, and he's very interested in all those. Or was
one of the most beautiful things he said was at Salisbury, and he came on stage, and he came on. Maddie introduced him, and it was absolutely brilliant. But he said, "Oh, if I knew the music was going to be this good, I'd have written a better book." He said. I mean, it was
how can you top that?
You can't.
It's just the ultimate compliment.
It is.
And it was wonderful, of course. The song "Thomas the Rhymer" was dedicated to him tonight because it's not been long since he passed. And,
well, no, it's only a week.
Yeah. And is there any idea or temptation to play the whole of the album? Is that something that you've ever thought about, considered?
No, it's not so far.
No.
Not so far.
It's one of those things you do probably later on, isn't it? People do it, don't they? 10 years on or something.
People need to know the album well enough because, and also some songs kind of work in certain settings better than others, and so it would be it's a thing possibly for the future rather than doing it. But it really works well because there's a lot of really good songs on it, so it's quite nice to just.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. That sometimes it's got to be in people's psyche, and enough people's psyche to warrant doing it. You know.
Yeah.
Funny enough, we did that one that you did all those years ago.
Oh,
Now We Are Six.
Now We Are Six.
We did the whole of that as a new Now We Are Six again, which seemed to work pretty well. But it would be that was more for Steeleye people.
Yeah. With such a wealth of material out there, I mean, I know you mentioned about All Around My Hat and the Ralph McTell comparison, but with such a wealth of material, are there songs that you can't afford to drop, or do you just now play strictly for pleasure?
Well, I think that Hat is kind of the one song that everybody knows. The problem with us is we've got a big repertoire, and you could have 2 or 3 records, and we could still do a whole night of material you've never heard. So we always do Hat because it's the one that we do know everybody knows. So that's the one linking song, if you like. But other than that, I like to think that we play songs for a while and then we leave them fallow, and they green up, and you can readdress them. If you keep playing them, they kind of go dull. So there comes a point where I sort of go, I can't sing that anymore. It's kind of gone. And so then the repertoire changes, and we've got such a big repertoire. We can bring songs in that are strong, and we just kind of keep moving them around, which is lovely.
And even within those songs, you start to mix things up a bit as well.
We've redeveloped.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we actually we have rehearsed Hat fairly recently again.
Yes.
Because sometimes you lose, or you can gain stuff from what's going on in the band and the groove of it, you know. And even though it's that one that you go, see, it's the hit, you know. We had to look at it again a couple of times.
You have to stay on. You have to stay. It's quite a difficult song to do, actually.
Well,
it keeps you on your toes.
It can just get to be a bit pat, if you know what I mean. But it can if you know. And sometimes it does get like that. And you know, we did have a look at it, and we had a rethink, and and got back to it.
Harmonies and.
Yes, we actually did.
Refreshed
harmonies. The original record was quite different harmony-wise to what we found we were doing. So we went and had a look at it and went, oh, is that what he did? It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's easier for things to creep into a different direction.
Yeah.
And
go on, sorry. And just in terms, you've come off a recent tour, and you've been to Spain as well. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did the Costa del Folk. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It was really good. We had a great time. Yeah.
Well, they weren't necessarily wanting it that loud.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They weren't HRH Prog. That's for sure. But they enjoyed it. It's great.
Yeah.
No, that sounds.
It's interesting.
So patronising. I'm not being.
It's interesting to be able to do different because we missed out songs that we did there because they wouldn't sit here. But we have quite a variety of material and styles that we work with, and which is quite useful.
So do you change the material then if you're playing abroad? Because of the a lot of English and British folklore songs that you've adapted. Do you change it to when you go abroad, or is the material is there a sort of core of material that you work from?
Well, certainly the Spain one, strangely, is basically English people.
Yeah,
so we don't change it that much. From
10%, yeah.
So, but we change it more as to whether we think it's going to be a more folk-oriented audience or a more rock. It depends where we think that. But you can't. Yeah, you can't second guess it. Actually,
Not really,
most of the time.
But we were a couple of weeks ago. We were in Belgium and Holland, and that was a slightly different dynamic. Antwerp was a slightly different dynamic to London or whatever, and Rotterdam.
But they were doing lots of huge amounts of dancing, but very structured dance they were doing in other rooms.
Oh right.
So it was like it was kind of weird because I don't know if they knew what we were about really, because they were all into doing this amazingly formal dancing, which we kind of weren't prepared for really.
Have you seen some of the the sci-fi characters out there as well?
Fantastic,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is,
I've had some photos taken with them.
We've had a great time. We watched some of the costume competition.
Oh yeah.
And it was I mean, it's just great to see people just go, I want to do this. I want to dress as a Cyberman or a Lego whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Johnny Scissorhands. There was like a 9-year-old as Johnny Scissorhands. Was it Johnny? No,
Yeah.
sorry,
Edward.
Edward. Sorry, Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
You know, and they all come on and they parade. Yeah, yes. And
It was really good.
It's amazing to and it's just really good. You know.
And
there's lots of-
Sylvester was there. I was hoping
Yeah.
to catch up with
Yeah, we
him.
didn't catch up. I don't know why. But, yeah. So yes, it's been great, and it's great to see people just wandering around. My favourite thing was seeing people dressed as whatever they were. Start with Darth Vader with a pint, going.
Yeah.
And they're talking like they're going, all right, mate. Hang on a minute. Boing.
It must be like an extra, set.
Well,
Yes,
there,
yeah.
mustn't it?
like,
Yeah, just
it's
like
like
that,
the
yeah.
canteen.
Yeah.
It's like the chuck
Yeah.
wagon on a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Yeah.
So just wrapping things up very shortly, and I really do appreciate your time on this. You've finished the tour now, so you've got a little break, and then what's in store for you for the rest of 2015?
Summer, going to US and Canada in July, and then another UK tour in November. And Holland, yep, Holland and Belgium.
Have we got to do an album somehow? In
Somewhere
that
in that.
We've started it, so we'll finish.
Because Wintersmith's about 18 months now, isn't it, since
Yeah.
its release?
Yeah, we need to do another one, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, as I say, sorry.
when we first started recording, we had a record contract for 5 years, 10 albums. Well, they don't do that anymore.
No.
3 years is now sort of batting average, and the idea of signing a thing that long. But I remember thinking, oh, it's going to be so, and it was. So now you spend a bit more time, and it's a bit more kind of considered. We kind of went in there, and you can hear it on some of the albums. We went in there kind of like, right, and we became very cavalier, I would say, with the recording process, and I can hear it on some of the albums. So it's a bit more considered again.
Do you shudder at some of that the recording process that you went through at that time?
Well, I shudder at the amount of drink we took, but it was. The thing is, it was of its time, and you kind of you can't do anything different than of its time.
Yeah, those were the
And
days, I guess.
That's. It was the start of recording in that way, And we all went in and did 24 tracks and 48 tracks. Went on forever,
But I think also, I think we do miss that in a way, because in those days you had to commit. Once you'd done it, you'd done it.
Yeah.
And nowadays you can edit, you can get the files and do all sorts of things. I mean, I think that's a little bit missing these days, because we can now go, ooh, I'll just put that bit there and do that bit there. And in those days you had it's 3 weeks at your residential studio, whatever it was, and that was it. There was not a lot you
And
could
I
do.
think
except,
that there's something about the live. In effect, what you had to do was the live performance. There wasn't the same editing facilities. You could do a bit of editing, but not that much. Nothing like you can do now. And the reality was, you just had to kind of perform. And I can hear me particularly in one track. I'm in a broom cupboard. And I can hear this broom cupboard, and I'm pissed, and it sounds great, but it was a performance. It was.
It did though. There were things that,
But you kind of that moment was that moment, and it was, and that's a kind of thing that doesn't quite happen in the same way.
It's that fluke thing is great. That's slightly what's missing. Although we've done some rhythm tracks that have been great. And actually we've yet to hear them back, because we've got to get the files. But yeah. So
yeah, Julie's been a great addition to the band. Me and Liam are the old ones with Rick now. The long-standing people.
Yeah.
And Julian's come in with a lot of skills in recording and that kind of thing, and it's made
Which is good. And
made a difference.
We've been recording recently with Alex Kemp, who's done good for us. Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you how much of a privilege this has been. I'm really, I really can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this interview with us, and the best of luck for the rest of 2015 and those festivals. So thank you very much indeed.
No problem. No problem at all. Thanks a lot.
Okay.